Natasha and Garth, this is such a momentous time for you. Your film is premiering at the Pan-African Film Festival, and everybody's talking about this film. So I guess my first question to both of you, the inspiration for this film, where did it all start?
Well, it started with the program we do on radio, and it's a drug demand reduction prevention talk show sponsored by the National Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Program, NADAP, and of course, Ministry of Health. And they believed in an idea that I had about sharing and preventing people from sharing, people's stories, and also preventing others from using drugs like I did. And that was 15 years ago. And we were given the opportunity, courtesy the British High Commission in Trinidad and Tobago and the Ministry of Justice, United Kingdom, to visit nationals of Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean who were arrested and charged and convicted for drug trafficking. And during that time, we collected a lot of stories, and what we would do, have these stories edited and then rebroadcast on the air. And we decided that, of course, this is talk radio, and we always thinking of ways to stay relevant and staying ahead of the game and thinking outside the box. And this was the idea we got to, why not now turn one into film? And we approached a friend of ours, now deceased, Marcia Henville, and she introduced us to director Sean. And the idea was to use this as the visual now, to get people to understand how brutal the world of drug and human trafficking is. And Sean depicted and came up with this, exactly what we wanted.
We were petrified. I was petrified because we have experience in radio and we know nothing about film. So we were at a loss as to where to start, who to contact, how to go about getting these stories on film. And thank God for Marcia, because she kind of guided us along, introduced us to Sean, and the rest is history. And we're very pleased with the final product. We're pleased with how Sean interpreted the story that we gave him. We're very pleased with the casting, the production values of the film. We couldn't have asked for a better introduction to the world of film.
Definitely. Now, I know that earlier at the press conference, Junket, we talked about your story and getting involved in this. And one of the things that you guys talked about how you met, but this is a personal story to you because of seeing everything that you went through yourself. How did this impact you? This had to be like a cleansing. Were there moments where you thought, myself, oh my God, did I ever go through that? What were you thinking when this film was happening?
I have experiences from both sides of the fence. When we visited people in the prison, every time we left, I felt that we left a piece of our heart with them, because I have experience on both sides. I know what it is to visit people in prison, and I know what it is to be visited in prison. So when the person left me in prison, I knew how that felt as well. So I have experience from both sides of the door, so to speak. And believe me, when a cell door is closed on you, it's not a nice sound. You can look at it on TV. You can even pull up the sound effect, but there's nothing like walking into a cell and hearing that gate slam behind you and the key turned. There's no experience like it. It's almost final, So that really it hit closer to home to me, And what I've learned is that human beings can go from being safe one day, right, and you're totally lost the next. It's a very thin line. Absolutely. And this is what we want people to get from this film.
I want them to be scared out of their wits. I want them to be petrified for their children, for their nieces, for their people, because this can happen so easily to people who are not aware that this happens, because a lot of people are totally oblivious to the fact that the human beings are used as walking suitcases for drug lords. So you should be aware that this happens. It can happen to you. It can happen to someone from your family, and it can happen, very innocuously.
I want the audience to understand that, well, first of all, I want the guys and girls in prison to get from this, use my experience, first of all, to motivate yourself. Nothing is impossible. Believe in yourself. Do not let society define who you are, and don't let that be a life sentence going to prison. Let it be a lesson. So I want them to get that from this, because look where I am today. I left prison with a bag and just a few pieces of clothes and not knowing where I was going to head. All I knew was I was going to do the right thing and walk the straight and narrow from there on. So they can learn from that, and they can do it. If I can do it, they can too, because I had to even drop a drug habit too. So right. And the audience, I want people to understand that no matter how poor you are, no matter how adventurous you are, do not lose the key of your mind to voluntarily. No, because there are those who are coerced, there are those who are tricked into trafficking drugs. But just remember that no matter how poor you are, forget it. Try something else. Because when you think that $50,000 sounds really great to you, and if you happen to get through, you could be trafficked as well. Because this film is not about drug trafficking alone, it's about human trafficking as well. Because once you're forced to take a product or anything from one border to the next, you're trafficked as well. And when you think you're going to get that money, you may never see your family again. Think about it.